Hello dear listener, it is time for the VR Shiz show once again. A great episode of tragedy, horror, thrills, joy, and wonder. Enjoy what you got right here, right now with your favorite podcast hosts named Richard and Vince.
And we are live. Cool. Welcome to the VR Shiz show. It is back on track, somewhat.
It's been like, 3 weeks since we recorded?
Look, if anything, we're consistently inconsistent.
Yeah, that's the brand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get a tagline. That'll be the quote that we print on shirts.
Oh yeah, if this is your first time listening, which we hope it isn't, I'm Vince.
I'm Richard. I think we're supposed to hope that it is your first time listening, because then it means we get more people, though.
That is fair, and you don't also get to hear the quality of the other ones before this, which I think this will probably be one of our better ones. It's exciting.
We can hope.
We can hope. We'll find out later, right? It
Yeah.
always happens. Do you want to start today with media consumed, or do you want me to start?
I figure I'll have you start us off for media consumed.
Cool beans. So I was actually thinking about that. Which one of the two I was going to talk about? Because I've, as you know, I read a lot of manga.
Yeah.
So much so that I end up buying another shelf that I still have yet to put up.
You just have it there?
I have 3 stacks of manga sitting at where my.
It reminds me of that meme where it's the nightstand that it's still in the box, but you just put everything on it anyway, even though it's still in the box.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to talk to my dad tomorrow because we're technically on vacation.
Yeah.
I decided, even though we weren't going to go to Texas, that I was still going to take my vacation.
Yeah.
Which is nice. I got to chill the whole day today. But
I wish I could say the same.
But you know what? I will talk, as much as I do love Devil's a Part-Timer, and I'm beyond hyped that it's finally getting a second season after 8 years.
Yeah.
And I read what is going to be the second season, and it was like, but also, what the hell is going on? Like, it was both.
Yeah.
You know, it's great, but also I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about Kaguya-sama Love is War, because I think I've talked to you about this a couple times. I definitely love
I'm not going to lie, anything you mention with a Japanese name just blends in my mind.
Oh, I wasn't talking about the
one thing.
I wasn't talking about that specific show, but I think you know that, like, when it comes to anime, I've voiced my opinion that I love the romantic comedy stuff a lot.
Yes.
That is definitely the vein for this.
All right.
And I was like, cool, the first 2 seasons, because I watched the anime first, were very good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start buying the manga now to see how much farther I can get.
Yeah.
And then I got farther than where the second season is. And I'm beyond excited for what they're going to do in the third season.
Mm-hmm.
Because I still have 2 more books.
Yeah.
By the way, I have them at my house. But the last 2 volumes that I had read destroyed me so much that I need a break. That's not a joke.
That's too much emotional trauma.
No, okay, so that's the thing, because it's supposed to be like this really like hoity-toity romantic comedy. It's 2 people trying to outsmart each other because they both like each other, but they're both so prideful they don't want to admit it, so they're trying to make the other person fall in love with them.
Okay.
Okay, so they're trying to trick each other into asking the other, that person asking you out instead.
Okay.
But the thing is, as they're doing this, they're also actually getting to know each other legitimately.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both kind of like, yeah, maybe I've been doing it wrong this whole time. Maybe I should actually just go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And they go for it, and I'm like really excited. And I'm thinking, yes, like, this is so good. Like, this is where that's going to progress. And then the actual plot kicks in. And that hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Because some things happen, and I think it's the 15th volume that is my favorite. Two really big important things happen. One of the main characters, his name is Ishigami, probably the best written character in that entire series.
Yeah.
He really likes this girl, ends up asking her out by accident because he didn't realize one of the actions that he did at a school festival meant that you were asking someone out.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a good boy, and he's like, oh, this will make her happy. I'm going to give her this. Not realizing that you're basically saying, be with me.
Mm-hmm.
So he had planned to ask her out, but not in that way. And eventually, she can't give him a straight answer because she's not sure. And then eventually they get to Christmas, and she invites him to a party, a party at her house. And at this time, there's this other girl that they're kind of just butting heads because they don't realize they're pretty much the same person.
Yeah. And
they really care for each other, but they don't want to admit that because it's kind of lame for them. She starts getting jealous because she sees, this guy's spending all this time with her. And eventually it gets to the point where, like, her name's Miko, the little short girl. She kind of gets drunk. She doesn't mean to. She passes out. And Ishigami's her only friend there. And the other girl, the one that, he had given this confession to without realizing, she's like, hey, so Miko's, like, out cold. She can't go home.
Yeah.
She's going to have to stay here. Do you want to stay here as well?
Mm-hmm.
And he's thinking, like, okay, because he's a boy.
Yeah.
And the girl's actually cute. She's drawn very cute. So you think, like, my boy is going to win one, she's going to tell him that she likes him. So, they put Miko to bed, and she invites him to his room, and you're like, okay. So, like, we're going this route, right? And she basically tells him in so many words, I reject your confession, but as a consolation prize, you get to do whatever you want with me today, as an I'm sorry. And my boy looks at her, and he's just like, no. I'm thinking, I agree with you, but what happened? And he's like, nah, you're only supposed to do that with people that genuinely love you and you love them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want this.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, like, most guys would be like, yeah, I'll take pity sex. But I think you and I are at that point where it's like, no, that would hurt.
Yeah.
Like, I feel really bad rejecting you, so here, I'm going to give you something that's super intimate.
Yes.
Like, to me, that would be insulting and would hurt. So he takes it really hard, because he really liked this girl.
Yeah.
And he gets drunk and almost falls down the stairs after they wake up. And Miko saves him. And she breaks her arm in the process of saving him. Like, he just kind of gives up on life and tries to die by falling down the stairs. And it starts this, like, really great arc for him, which is, like, it's pain because I get it.
Yeah.
But going back to the two main characters, I know this is really long, I'm sorry. Going back to the two main characters.
We're not, like, 40 minutes in yet.
Yeah. But going back to the two main characters, I just want to talk about Ishigami. But the reason Volume 15 affected me so much is because it has one of the most honest looks at relationships and how we change ourselves in order to fit ourselves better in those relationships.
Yeah.
Where, you kind of realize that the two people that are here that are the main characters of the series, as much as they like each other and have been becoming more honest with each other, they're not the people that they are in front of each other.
Yeah.
They have these things. Like, Kaguya becomes ice cold. She's this heartless person, and the thing is, she admits that, like, after he told me he liked me, I just went back to who I was because I realized if he can't love me then, he's never going to love me.
Yeah.
And the thing with the other main character, the male main character, Shirogane, he's the complete opposite. No, I have to be at my best because she is never going to accept me. Mm-hmm. I can never show her who I really am because I'm incompetent.
Yeah.
And they have this battle between these, and it's really gross because it's like one of those things that you never want to do with your partner, but as you grow and eventually you seek to get married, you're gonna have to.
Yeah.
And they just, to me, it kind of reminded me of my last relationship where I tried to be as honest and vulnerable as I could, and I didn't get that.
Yeah.
And it brought me back to that time where they just argued with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But they eventually got to a point where they're like, yeah, okay, we need to be open with each other.
Yeah.
Which to me, I was like, dang, man, it's 3:00 in the morning and I did not expect to be rammed with the Fields train this hard. Like, yeah. I legit cried because it reminded me of the struggles that I had gone through. And it hurt, but it was like, man, I was reading this because it was making me laugh. I was here to have a good time, not to cry. But it was a good cry because it was something that made me realize, like, man, Sometimes these mediums are exceptionally good at what they do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sorry, I wanted to gush on that. I recommend it if you guys like that romantic stuff, but also having a very clear look at those kinds of things, but also having a good laugh. I would recommend Kaguya-sama Love is War. If that's not what you're into, that's great too, because, you know, we all like different things.
There's too much anime in the world.
Not
too
enough.
much anime, too much manga. Everyone can find anything you want.
Chainsaw Man says otherwise, bro. It's coming in soon, and then Brian and I are going to disappear off the face of the earth once that comes. Gosh. I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, I'll probably go a little long too, because I was just on a train of going down every piece of media I could find.
Yep.
So I finished Cyberpunk. That was good. And then I watched videos explaining, like, everything they promised, all the hype, all the features, and I'm like, oh, yeah, if I had paid attention to this would have been a little disappointing. But I didn't pay attention to it, so it's a great game if you don't care about hype.
Yeah.
What else? I started doing a game called Rolled Out. I kickstarted it like a year ago.
This is the one that you were playing when I got here.
Yeah. I entirely thought that they took my money and ran because I didn't hear about them for about a year almost.
I knew that's what I got to do to fund my... Never mind. Fund my webtoon.
Just kickstart something, yeah.
And then...
Yeah, but they eventually sent me a Steam Early Access code, and I'm like, oh, cool, thank you. And then I started playing, and I'm like, ooh, this is good, Monkey Ball. It's fantastic, high-quality Monkey Ball gameplay. Really tricky levels. It's definitely early access, but it's very polished early access compared to...
That's good, though.
Some things.
Early access scares me.
I bought Rust, like, 8 years ago or whenever it came out in early access, and I'm like, wow, this is bad. This is really, really bad. Apparently Rust is good now, but I'm still not going to ever touch it.
I heard a lot of good things about it, but it's not my kind of game.
But yeah, no, early access, it's actually working out pretty well for these guys. Aside from that, watched Speed for the first time last night. That was very tense. That's good, making you feel all...
That's the one with Keanu Reeves, right?
Yeah.
That's such a good movie. That's the one that I missed.
Yeah.
But instead, I got to see the masterpiece.
Oh, that is Sudden Death?
Yeah, that ending was something else.
Man. Oh, gosh. Just look up Sudden Death ending scene. That's all you need. That's all you really need to take away. Like, the build-up there is great with Jean-Claude Van Damme doing Jean-Claude Van Damme things. But all you need to know is hockey and terrorists. And that's the plot.
Yeah.
But main piece of media is something that I figure will tie into the, whatever it's called, main topic. We should come up with, like, a special, good, marketable name for main topic. Aside from main topic. But, you know, we'll get there. When I hired a marketing team with the massive budget this show has. But
clearly, you can tell in the quality of our show.
Yeah, and how long it takes me to edit them. Yeah.
Just as long... No, I can't.
High quality production
I can't throw shade. I can't. I appreciate you. You'll probably never watch this. So, no one will ever get that except you. So, I'm not going to say anything.
Stupid.
I appreciate you.
But I recently rewatched Gravity Falls, as I do every year. And again, that show always increases in quality as you rewatch it.
Yeah.
The first watching is always the most emotional, but the second, third, fourth, fifth, I think I'm on fifth, maybe, yeah, I think I'm on fifth watching, because it ended 2016. And I've been watching it 2017, 18, 19, 20, and 21. Yeah, so 5 years of rewatching it annually, because that show is telematic perfection. I assume that's the
technical term for it.
Well, because I don't want to say cinematic because it's not cinema, you know.
It wouldn't be considered cinema, no.
Exactly. I mean, you technically could watch it over the course of a day. And call it one big movie, like I've done before.
Yeah. I will say, because the first time I had ever watched it, obviously, was with you.
Yeah.
Because it is. Would you say it is your favorite TV show?
Yes.
Not just cartoon, but TV show.
Yes.
Personally, for me, I would say it's the second best cartoon I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. You already know my top. That's Chowder. I love Chowder so much.
It's because it's comedy gold.
Oh, it's comedy
gold.
It's top notch. But I will say that for the one time viewing, Gravity Falls shot up very fast.
Yeah,
it's such a solid and tight knit show, and it doesn't feel like anything is filler, which is the big killer in anime because I watch a lot of anime.
I will say there's one episode that after having rewatched the series as much as I have, there's one episode in the second season where I'm like, this probably should have been a first season episode. It shouldn't have been like the final 5 episodes of the series.
I think there was one that was a bit weird for me at the end. That was just like, not as strong.
It's the road trip one where they get in the camper van and go to a bunch of road stops.
Is that the one where Dipper ends up getting a lot of girls' numbers?
Yes.
That's the one that I made the meme for. That stupid meme that I sent in the Discord.
Yes, but that episode I think should have been in the first season because it doesn't fit thematically with how the series is at that point.
That's so weird because for some reason in my brain, I always just pegged it as the first season.
That's because it feels like it. Like you said.
That's why. It wasn't just me then. Oh, wow. Yeah.
But as a whole, the series is incredible. There's so much that you get from consecutive viewings of it.
Yeah.
And then now I have the Blu-ray collection, which meant that I watched all of the bonus content. Because I had seen the Between the Pines or whatever, which is a small little 20-minute behind-the-scenes thing they kind of did. That you can get access to on Hulu and Disney or whatever.
I have to go back for another rewatching of that show. I haven't done it yet.
But I watched all of the promotional content that they have on there. Mm-hmm. There's some really funny skits and things that they have that were just that were promos in between commercials or whatever that they would make for it that are really fantastic. Uh-huh. And then there was a really big behind the scenes making of where they interview a lot of everyone who worked on the show and everything.
Yeah.
And that was super fascinating to watch. And then it led me down the rabbit hole of the final scavenger hunt thing that they finished the show off with.
Oh, the one that you sent in the Discord?
Yes, because I watched I knew about it, but I didn't know how intense it was because I never really paid attention to it because that was the summer right after the show ended because he wanted one final send-off for the show, which was this worldwide scavenger hunt. The creator Alex Hirsch, he put it together. There's 2 fantastic documentaries on it. One of them's 40 minutes, one of them's 20 minutes. They both tackle slightly different details with it, so I'd say they're kind of both worth a watch. As well as the behind the scenes where he talks about his point of view on it and his crafting of it.
Yeah.
That was hilarious to find out because he mentions at one point, like, yeah, I'm bringing this small little scroll in a small secret little compartment that I'm taking with me to Russia. And he's like, I probably could have been taken the wrong way if anyone searched him or anything.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff like that I was watching that's super, super fascinating, super interesting, which ties into the topic of today, which is the TV shows that we have watched the most. Or actually, did you have a in-between topic with our favorite rap rock artist?
I mean, I could.
I know you could, but I thought you had one prepared that I just skipped over slightly intentionally.
Shoot. I actually had one prepared for last week when I was supposed to.
Yeah.
I forget what ended up happening. And I was going to use that one, but...
I don't know. We'll skip it, save it for next week.
Oh, wait. Actually, I can think of one.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't remember which SummerSlam it was, but... You know what SummerSlam is, right? It's a wrestling event.
Yes.
It is one of the big 4 pay-per-views for the WWE. The big 4 being SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, which is my favorite, and then WrestleMania, which is next week, actually.
Nice.
Actually, the end of this week.
Nice.
So I'm gonna be gone. I'm watching it at a friend's house. So what's it called? He went to a SummerSlam event. I think I think when it was in Long Beach, if I'm not mistaken, which was 7 or 8 years ago. And So what happens is, obviously, the WWE does like to focus on celebrities
Yeah.
that they see in the crowd when they're there. And so they saw Fred Durst, and, Fred likes to keep up his image.
Yeah.
So when it pointed out Fred Durst, he looks at the camera all like smug and then flips it off. And people thought that he got escorted out of the building for that one. Because he did leave early.
Yeah.
But he said it was for a family emergency. And the WWE also confirmed, like, yeah, no, we didn't make him leave. So a lot of people thought that he had left because the WWE
He got kicked out of the WWE from watching it.
For watching it live because of that. Because, again, this is pay-per-view. It's really hard, especially as a live pay-per-view. It's hard to edit that.
Yeah.
So...
I mean, even then, I don't understand what reasoning they would have to kick him out, considering
the stuff
they were the ones who decided to film him.
Yeah. And on top of that, Peacock just bought the WWE Network. They're going to be editing out content like that. That's offensive.
Oh, that's good.
For anyone that loved the Attitude Era, which is arguably the best era in wrestling, because it had the Monday Night Wars, which is the highest, that's the most that anyone has ever watched wrestling.
Yeah.
That means you're not going to be able to watch any of that content. So you're not going to have gems like Stone Cold Steve Austin breaking into Brian Pillman's house and then Brian Pillman brandishing a 9mm and then having it cut. You're not going to be able to watch Mae Young and a sexual chocolate Mark Henry in bed together, and then 9 months later Mae Young give birth to a hand, which 16 years later they got a guy in a giant hand costume to hug Mark Henry because Mae Young had passed away at that time. Dad, they kept that was long-term storybooking, storytelling.
Gosh.
You're not gonna be able to see Stone Cold Steve Austin stunner women, Randy Orton RKO women,
Lame.
Trish Stratus bark like a dog because Vince McMahon made her. Kurt Angle say to Booker T, a black man's wife, I'm going to take advantage of you and we're going to have primal animalistic sex. You're not going to have all of those gems.
Truly, they will be mixed.
Oh, also Katie Vick. If you don't know Katie Vick, this is the one of the more infamous ones, which is saying a lot because all of the stuff that I mentioned.
Yeah.
So apparently, Kane, who is the Undertaker's brother, they're like the big bad, the Brothers of Destruction, who is now the mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee. Go figure.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah. Okay. So Kane, this is great. He apparently had a girlfriend when he was younger named Katie Vick. She died in a car accident, and he decided to have sex with her corpse. That was stated. But in order to do this dramatic reenactment, Triple H, who was feuding with him at the time, was at a funeral home. And there was a corpse. Well, it was a mannequin. And he decided to show the class what Mr. Kane had done. I promise you, this is not the reason that I love wrestling. That's the thing. It's the same. It's the same thing that I get with anime, because I watch these animes that for the most part don't have any fan service, but because a lot of anime do, that's just what people assume that I watch. And I'm like, I promise this is not. You have to watch Johnny Gargano versus Andrade Almas, because it's a 5-star match and my favorite match of all time. You have to watch Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels in a streak versus career match, because that is the greatest match of all time. You have to watch all of these incredible matches. As Shawn Michaels, who is a believer, is descending as a chorus of angels, a chorus of people are singing, and then the Undertaker's rising from, hell, as he has a huge amount of druids with him and smoke is coming out. It's fantastic storytelling when it's done right. But other than that, it's literally just Jerry Springer trash. But that's what Peacock is doing. They're editing all that stuff out.
That's good to hear. I'm glad that... removing those wonderful gems from our history as a society.
Yes, it's truly the greatest timeline that we have.
Do you have, all of wrestling on, tape?
No. Sadly not. I do have, like, I think 1995 to 8 just on VHS because my dad bought me that whole set. It was super cool.
Gosh.
But, yeah, no. So let me ask you this to get on topic because I went on a tangent.
No, that's fine.
How many times have you watched Gravity Falls? Because you said at least 5.
It's for sure 5 years that I have rewatched it
So once
annually.
a year?
I think I watched it twice, because the year that I watched it with you and introduced it to you, I watched it before. So I watched it twice that year, probably twice another year, I think. I think I watched it twice a few years ago as well. So at least 5, more than likely 7 or 8 times that I have seen Gravity Falls.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
You're gonna like this one.
I have a buddy who watches The Sopranos annually, and I'm like, that's a bit long of a show to watch.
Yeah, that's a lot.
See, Gravity Falls is 2 seasons. I can handle that. 2
Yeah.
seasons, 20 episodes, 20 minutes an episode. That's
It's solid.
That's
and it's
easy.
and it's solid the whole way through. That's the best part, too.
Yes. Like you said, no filler.
Yeah.
All killer, no filler, like the Sum 41 album.
Yeah. Genuinely, it feels like everything, for the most part, is just a one cohesive story.
But yeah, to remind you all of the topic, since I mentioned it like 10 minutes ago.
And then I went on a tangent.
That's, again, the Curse of Durst.
Yeah. At least we didn't flub our words this time.
No, we're actually being somewhat coherent. Which
Yeah,
is,
but I think we're losing our mind as we're going.
we're able to
Oh, gosh,
there
no.
it is. There it is.
Darn you, Durst!
I'm just going to skim right past whatever I was going to say there.
I think I just peeked the mic, too. That's the best part. Okay, let's go back. So at least 7 times. Is there any other show that you've watched at least 5 times?
I mean, if we're counting, like, stuff I've watched as a kid, like SpongeBob reruns and stuff, like, when it's just on and everything. But I wouldn't necessarily count that, because you're just...
We're talking about dedicated, like, rewatchings.
Because I've watched Chowder, same as you, many, many times.
God, I love Chowder. I've watched it at least 6 times.
Yeah.
It has 3 seasons, but I don't even think the 3rd season's that big. I think it's only like 9 episodes.
The 3rd one's real short.
Yeah.
But if we count, like, reruns and stuff, I've watched Chowder and Danny Phantom and those kind of shows tons and tons of times. But I'm saying, like, dedicated, watching it all the way through as a series, as a cohesive piece of media. So for me, it's Gravity Falls. And again, because the show is so mystery-based, you just get so much out of each consecutive watching of things they teased, of things that they hinted at, of puzzles that when you solve them, you start to understand the plot. Which, another thing that was in the behind the scenes that I found was insane is people had figured out the major plot twist in the show, like, in the middle of season 1, and they're like, oh no, this is bad. We can't have people already knowing what this is. So they literally made a fake mock-up frame of the animation showing an entirely separate character doing the big secret of the show, and they just posted it on Reddit on an anonymous account, deleted the account after it had sat for 24 hours, just to let that simmer and throw everyone off the scent.
Yeah.
That's how insane they are. Again, worldwide scavenger hunt is how insane the talented and crazy these people are. But you just get so much, again, where you notice certain characters in the background, you notice certain items in the background.
Yeah.
And it just all comes together. And again, if you've watched the series, I would wait until you have watched the series to watch the Nerdstalgic video on it, because it talks about the major twist, which it's not the worst thing in the world if you know it. It's not like the show isn't worth watching after you know it. In fact, I'd say it's more worth watching after you know it.
Which is really hard to do, I think.
Yes. A good twist makes you want to see things more than once. But the twist changes character dynamics, and you understand certain psychology that Nerdstalgic goes into. But yeah, Gravity Falls is one that you can watch just over and over again because of the nature of the show. And there's always more to find in it.
So, Is there another show that you've watched like that with that much dedication? Well, not with that much dedication, but with at least like 5 times.
Multiple times viewing it like that. I have watched Danny Phantom a few times through.
It's a very solid show.
Yeah, I mostly just watch it because I think of the theme song every now and again. I'm like, you know what? I gotta hear the theme song just every 20 minutes on repeat with nice story beats in between it.
Yeah, it's good. The voice acting was really good for it too.
Yeah, it's Butch Hartman's greatest show.
Yes. It also knew when to end.
Yes, unlike Fairly Odd Parents.
That's still going.
Let's check. I think it's still going. It might have ended because of how bad. I think he's rebooting it. Reboot? Really?
Yeah, they brought him back on.
I thought he was always on. He never left.
No, he left for a bit.
Oh, that would make sense. Currently, they have 172 episodes. It is... Let's see. Where is years running? It doesn't tell me. It just says... Okay, what the garbage? Okay, you didn't mention this about the reboot. On February 24th, 2021, so a few weeks ago, it was announced that the series would be rebooted as a live-action adaptation.
Okay, that I didn't know.
Set to premiere on Paramount Plus.
Okay, so who's playing...
I don't know. They could do the live-action one that they did before, where it was Drake Bell, or Drake, Drake Bell.
Yeah, it's Drake Bell. He goes to my old church.
Really?
Yeah, Calvary Chapel, East Anaheim. He goes every so often.
I had no...
That's where he grew up. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. Have I told you about the time that my brother met him in a hotel bathroom? That sounds a little off.
No.
So,
actually, maybe, but you might have to give me a refresher.
So, we were staying at a hotel, and it was 4th of July weekend or whatever, and Drake Bell happened to be staying at the hotel. And we know this because my brother, who was 7 or 8 at the time, I think 7, he might have been younger, but we were all in the hotel, and my brother was in the bathroom. Eventually recognizes this Drake Bell that's in the restroom, starts talking with him a little bit, because, we love Drake and Josh and all that. And my brother manages to break the sink in the restroom with Drake Bell. So, if Drake Bell ever listens to this, hope you remember that kid who broke a bathroom sink in front of you. But yeah, that's that. But apparently the production of the series, back to Fairly Odd Parents, production of the series ceased after Hartman left Nickelodeon in February 2018. So it did end, but it should have stopped a little earlier.
I would say like 5 years, 6.
Many years earlier. After the third Timmy Jimmy Power Hour is when it should have ended.
Yeah, those were primo, though. They're so good.
Yeah.
I love Butch Hartman, but he's a weird face. What? You're only seeing his side profile. You need to see it from front.
Like right there?
No. You need to...
view him?
Yeah. I'm telling you.
He
has a very attractive daughter, so... yeah, he has 2 daughters that are our age.
All right, we'll go look into that. He also tried to start like a whole safe parenting thing. Did you see that?
I think
he tried to start this like weird cartoon safe for parenting thing that was like super weird and super poorly executed, and everyone made fun of him for it.
Yeah, because it was like...
He's also a good, wholesome guy, and then everyone made fun of him for his profile on Twitter for being like a handsome version of himself, which I'm like, why are you... If you're going to draw a caricature of yourself, why not make yourself look...
goofy?
Yeah.
That's kind of what people know you for.
Dr. Rip Studwell from Fairly Odd Parents was like a handsome version of himself, and so that was basically his profile picture.
Yeah.
And everyone made fun of him for it, and I'm like, why would you do that? He's a nice guy. He's misguided sometimes.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
that was definitely not the topic of the Whatever. No. We should just call it Variety Hour at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, I can still talk about mine.
All right, go for it.
How many shows have I watched over 5 times? Let's see. Avatar: The Last Airbender. I've watched a total of 8 times. The Legend of Korra. I've watched a total of 5. Ash vs. Evil Dead. At this point, I've finally reached 5.
I was about to say that's a movie, and then I'm like, oh yeah, the show. Huh?
Yeah, the show is fantastic. It rivals my favorite show of all time. Like they're
really?
both up there. Yes, Leverage. I've watched a total of 7 times.
Leverage?
I love Leverage.
I have no idea what that is.
It was on TNT, if I'm not mistaken, and it's a show about a group of thieves who initially work together to get a job done.
Okay.
But the person that they're working for is someone who's like legitimately powerful, like a corporate businessman type deal.
Yeah.
And he screws them over really hard. Mm-hmm. And they're all like, let's ruin this dude's life.
Mm-hmm.
So they do that. They ruin his life. They steal the things that matter most to him. They basically reveal all of his like super dirty secrets and just destroy him.
Yeah.
But they also save a family. They save a few families that got screwed over by this dude.
Mm-hmm.
And they also make millions out of it. And they're like, yo, playing the good guy technically was kind of nice. What if we just do that and take down big corporate businessmen, save the little guy, and also make some money along the way?
Yeah.
And it's very solid. It's very funny. It does have its tense moments. What is it? Timothy Hutton, I think is his name. The main character. He's actually very good. A very complex character.
Yeah.
Is my favorite show of all time. Ash vs. Evil Dead is also there as well.
Yeah.
Completely different sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
You know, but they're both super great, super enjoyable watches. Again, I keep pushing that you need to watch the series. Because you're going to love the ending of the 3rd season.
For Ash vs. Evil Dead?
But you're also going to be angry that they didn't come out with a 4th.
Yeah, that's an issue where I've had with many shows where I'm like, everyone says, oh yeah, the first 3 seasons are great, and then it has a drop-off. And I'm like, I want consistent quality. Like,
No. You're going to be mad that they didn't make a 4th season.
Yeah, but in that vein also, where people will say, oh yeah, it's great, but they never finished it. And then I'm like...
Yeah, and the sad thing is, Bruce Campbell has officially
stepped down from Ash.
Yeah, he finally retired the character, which hurts. You know,
but also he's not a spry young lad.
No, he's not a spry young lad in that either. He's like 70.
Really?
But that's the best part because it's the same dude from the 80s. It's the same exact guy, but now he's the actual age he is, and they acknowledge that. But he still kicks ass.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good. So I recommend it. You just have to have kind of a strong stomach for some of the other stuff. Because obviously they're fighting Deadites.
Yes.
You know, and you can definitely see the Sam Raimi inspiration. Like, hey, what if we just made this rated R TVMA and just gave you a lot of money?
Yeah.
I follow the stunt actress for like the girl who did almost all the stunts.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. She did some really great stunts, and I'm just like, oh yeah, you did get hurt a lot. That would make sense. Because some of the stuff that you see, I'm just like, oh gosh, like that looked awful. Because you know, if you're gonna fight Deadites, you gotta go hard.
Yeah.
And I think she did most of the stunts for the female Deadites.
Nice.
And she's also a believer, so that's cool too.
Nice.
But that one, and then Chowder I've watched. So weirdly enough, I think I've only watched Chowder 4 times, maybe 5.
Wow, so I beat you in Chowder watching?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's one of those shows that I love it so much that I don't want to ruin it for myself. So I have to come back to it like once every year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
Because comedy's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, even the jokes in Gravity Falls that I love every time, they don't hit as hard. Because that's just how comedy is. It's all about surprise.
Yeah, I want to keep that fresh because there are some primo jokes in there.
Yes,
they're just so good. I'm trying to think about what anime I've watched more than. Oh, that's easy. Okay, so okay, let me do this really quick. So there,
rattle off 14 titles.
No, I think it's only 3 if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
So Konosuba I've seen a total of 7 times. And Konosuba, yeah, this is the best part because you have to see when it actually came out in terms of the anime.
Mm-hmm.
So the anime
That you've watched 7 times.
came out in 2016. And I've watched it 7 times in that span.
I mean, I've watched Gravity Falls 8 times, and it finished in 2016.
So it's good feels, you know?
Yeah.
I've only watched the movie twice. The movie's fantastic.
Wow.
It's very, very
funny.
funny.
What a not committed fan you are, only watching the movie twice.
Bro, I don't know what that movie did to me, but Arnie Pantoja became one of my favorite voice actors, and then I found out that he was in that Henry Danger TV show as one of the side characters with Jerry Trainer.
What?
So it's Jerry
What
Trainer.
is this?
Henry Danger is some live action show on Nickelodeon.
Oh, yeah.
He was-
I have seen that when I used to have cable and browsed randomly, and it would pop up, and I'd say, nope, that looks awful.
Yeah, he played a side character, and I love this man. Like,
Because Jerry Trainer's great.
yeah, but also Arnie Pantoja played him like just a real person instead of voice acting.
Okay.
And he's genuinely a handsome man and also really funny. And it's him and Jerry Trainer together, and I'm just like, I need to sit down. I don't simp for a lot of people, but that combo is too much for me. And then the other anime that I can definitively remember, Devil's a Part-Timer, I've watched 3 times. But this one, Teasing Master Takagi-san, which is my favorite anime of all time.
Mm-hmm.
It came out in 2018. Guess how many times I've watched it?
Too many.
Yes.
Go with 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've watched it a total of 8 times in the span of 2.5 years.
Good grief.
And the best part is, I watched that officially on my birthday in 2019. So 2019 to now.
So, over the course of just 2 years.
I watched it a total of 8 times. Yeah. I love that show. I love the series. I have the first 10 volumes because the 11th is coming out in June to America. It is genuinely my favorite, and it's like beyond wholesome because it's just about a middle school boy and middle school girl, and middle school girl really, really likes his boy, but the first time she meets him, he gets embarrassed, and she's like, that's cute. I'm going to tease him to keep getting that. So she teases him. She doesn't bully him because she genuinely likes him. She never puts him down or anything like that. She just teases him in other ways that doesn't affect his self-esteem. But it also gives her excuses to like, oh, let's have this competition because he's very competitive because he's a boy and this girl is challenging him to stuff. Where it's like, oh, if you can touch my hand, you win. And we know how boys are about physical contact with girls in middle school. So he loses a lot, but it's really cute. He eventually mans up and just goes for it, and my heart is happy. And then I found out that doesn't exist in the manga because they don't have that arc, and I was like, oh, this is literally just something original that they did for the ending of the 2nd season. My dad watched that with me, and we both cried. It's very good, very, very wholesome, very funny.
Yeah.
I've watched that many times. I don't regret a single watch.
Yeah.
Because at least it's not Konosuba. That's the way I see it. Because Konosuba is hilarious. But my mom walked in on probably the worst episode. It was the succubus episode.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, she walked in.
That's a natural power that media has, is that parents will walk in at the
worst times,
moment.
right? And I couldn't even pause it because that was just the scene. No matter where I paused it, it was just going to be awful.
Yeah.
There was no nudity, but it was, what was going on.
As worse as you can get.
Yeah, pretty much. And it was just like, she just came in, looked at the TV. I looked at her. She looked at me. And she was like, I'll come back in like 5 minutes. And I was like, I'll go downstairs after this is over. And because that one's actually really funny. And if you know the context that I do in the light novels, because I started reading the light novels, which I used to like fiend for a 3rd season. And then I read the light novels that take place after the 2nd season and the movie. And I was like, oh, okay, I think I understand why they haven't made a third season yet. Because it gets even spicier. And I'm just like, this is. I don't know how they're gonna animate this. Like, that was literally like, oh gosh, this is a bit awful. I am excited for the Eris Church versus the Axis Church arc, because that's fantastic, and Aqua gets to shine, even though she's totally a moron. She's a total moron that is at the height of her depravity, and it's fantastic in every way because she's such an awful character, but it just plays to her strengths, where you're just like, she's gonna get her comeuppance, but this is really good. So yeah, those are the shows that I've watched at least that many times that I can think of on the dot. I'm sure there are more. I can't think of any other anime. I said 3, but then My Hero Academia?
I have no idea.
Technically speaking, would it count? Okay, would it count if, say, I watched... Because My Hero is obviously continuing to develop. Now it's in the 5th season.
Obviously.
Now it's in the 5th season. So what if, like, I watched the first 3 seasons, then I watched it again, and then the 4th season came out? Is that still considered watching it twice?
I'll say 1.5.
Yeah, that's kind of what it was. It would almost equal 5 because I've watched that quite a few times. It's a good series. It does have some fan service, and it's starting to get a bit more, but it's still not like to that point where it's really awkward.
Yeah,
you know, you're just like, haha, that's funny. They mention things that boys like, and that's it. Like, just things like that. It's not like full on, like, you know, character accidentally falls and then giant panty shot in his face type deal, which has happened in certain animes. It's not that, but it's still, you're just kind of like, what are you doing there, Myra? You can just stick with your fantastic storytelling character development.
It just reminds me of that wonderful meme of, hey, I saw you stalking children in the park earlier. Is it safe to assume you're a My Hero fan?
Gosh, man, with all of the fandoms that I'm in that are, like, made fun of for that kind of stuff, it's just like, it's a good thing that I have, like, an equal amount of them, because it's just like, you know, 2 negatives make a positive, so at the end, I'm safe.
I don't know if that's how it works.
That's not how any of this works.
Officer, I stole from 2 stores. I'm good. They canceled out.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to be using in court.
Officer, I didn't do nothing.
I didn't do nothing. What is this episode?
We're at 47 in, so I'm sure our brains are just like,
dude,
this is as much as we can
I
comprehend.
haven't even told you what happened today. Like, today's the start of my vacation, right?
Yeah.
And so I forgot to turn off my alarm. So
nice.
I woke up at the time I wake up for work. I was so mad because I was wide awake. And I was like, all right, cool. And then my parents were like, cool, we're going out. Can you watch your sister? And I'm like, yeah, she's going to be asleep. So I'm going to start writing because I was telling you about the webcomic that I'm working on. So I'm like, cool. I'm going to get this done in an hour and a half and send it over. That didn't happen because as soon as my parents shut the door, my sister woke up. So they kept extending the time. We're like, cool, we'll be back. Hey, we got to do this. We'll be back. Hey, I got to do this. We'll be back. And then they came back at 2. And I was just like, I need to finish this. It's been like 5 hours. I haven't been able to touch this correctly because I just keep going back and forth.
Yeah.
And so I sat down for an hour and finished. And I was just like, finally! But it was like the thing I wanted to do. I could have written 4 or 5 chapters in that time.
Yeah.
But no, I just didn't get to do that.
Well, you know.
And my brain was fried because I wanted to use it creatively, but I also had to take care of my sister for like 5 hours. So it was just back and forth. And then getting here now, I'm just like, cool. My brain is not going to work.
Yeah.
And it was nice to know that was made true. So, great stuff.
To be fair, we made it about 40 minutes in before our brains like disintegrated.
Yeah, but we did. I in particular ranted a lot.
You did go on many tangents.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. It just happened.
It's fine. As if the structure of this show was the key point.
I'm supposed to have
why people listen.
I'm supposed to have my character development, and I keep just throwing it in the trash. Bold and brash.
I mean,
more like it belongs in the trash. I'm sorry. I think my mind is fully deteriorated.
On the note of Vince's brain turning into mush, I think we'll call it there.
My processor finally just melted.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm a robot. We forgot about that.
Yeah, dude, we're really consistent again.
Yeah, I just
Consistently
remembered.
inconsistent. I think you're an alien now.
Probably.
Just because I deemed it so at the last 10 seconds.
I mean, technically speaking, if my parents, were born in the in the motherland, I would have been. But
on that note, see you next time.
bye, guys.